Come with me on a journey of the mind, through space and time. Röyksopp with their new album, Nebulous Nights, an ambient excursion into profound mystery. Except the only mystery here is why the hell is this album 30 tracks long?
I see snap.
Röyksopp, a band that hasn't really been on my radar for a while, until their 22 released Profound Mysteries 1, 2 and 3, which were not, the worst things ever, but also not the best either. I wouldn't say I was a Röyksopp connoisseur, although I'm pretty sure I'm getting that name wrong, and I'm sorry if I am. I am dumb. But I have enjoyed some of their earlier work, especially that 5 or 6 track album they did with Robin. Saying that though, there is quite a few tracks that I do enjoy in their lengthy mystery releases. Either way, I'm tired of seeing AIR on the covers of albums. Even on previous albums they've used AIR, except they had someone repaint them to make them seem more authentic or something. I'm not exactly sure what the point of that was. I guess not all artists support art. But we are not here for that, we are here for the music, right? Nebulous Nights is a long-running album at 2 hours and 19 minutes, and they weren't kidding with the title saying it's ambient. And whilst I don't actually dislike it, I'm not blown away by it either. If you're into mindfulness and meditation, I think this album is going to be right up your alley. And there is a clear influence of nature here as well. But if I wanted to listen to 2 hours of rain, I'd stick on one of those YouTube videos. And I know that's a bit of an exaggeration, but after 5 tracks or so, it does start to feel a little bit tired. But saying that as well, the sounds you do hear throughout the album are lush and dynamic. And it's when these smooth tones of pads or ambient synths are cut through with vocals or these really interesting sounds is when the album really starts to shine. And you hear this in the opening track and slow fade, but equally you have songs where it feels a bit overdone. Take for example We Enter, State of Awareness, which really sounds familiar to one of those overused piano songs, Gymnopiedi number 1, but here it's kind of just being drowned out by heavy rainfall. Luckily the album picks up with the track Flumen Aeternum featuring Jamie Irrepressible, which feels very much like drone music to me, but it has this very sporadic sounds of vocals and bass that come in. For me, really makes the song feel immersive, drifting through the vast nothing, receiving fleeting moments of communication via radio. And because this song feels so sparse, those moments where you do hear something new makes it that much more exciting. These chimes that appear around the 2:20 mark, or the moment you actually hear vocals singing. From here though, this carries on with Oh Vanity. Flumen Aeternum feels like you're drifting through nothing. Oh Vanity feels like a glimmer of hope in the darkness. As we approach the middle of the album now, I'm starting to hate the sound of crickets, but between here and the end we do start to hear more variation of sound, especially with the track Lethargic Shift, sounding quite Vangelis inspired here, with this retro futuristic sound. Paired with these talkbox vocals, this is a direction which I enjoyed more compared to so many of the other tracks on this album. This album also has a lot of collaborations, and it's kind of hit or miss. Take for example the next 2 songs featuring Susanne, Sundfør. Both songs are actually quite nice, but I feel like I'm in a spa having some kind of treatment done, which isn't the first thing I want coming to my mind when I'm listening to Röyksopp. The thing is, the vocals are there, but they just kind of feel overlooked or hidden. Compare this to We Remain Hidden, Consolation featuring Pixx, where it has a really similar vibe, but her vocals here are the main focus point, and they actually come across as quite haunting. It's funny though, because on track 15 with Me featuring Karen Harding, after her vocals come at the 4-minute mark, I was kind of expecting some new metal sound, maybe Evanescence, but life is often so very disappointing. As I said earlier, there are moments within songs that really pique my interest, but they come few and far between. For example, in Beyond Beyond, The Weathered Gate, The Head of the Statue, these song names by the way, you have this really interesting bombardment of vocals that come in, it's kind of confusing, but I like that. Okay, halfway through the album now, and the second half of the album is slightly more exciting, but unfortunately it has a lot of filler too. Some of the more standout tracks though, like House of R, it has this vocal synth that builds up into this groovy bass. It's not overly complicated or anything, but it kind of stands out compared to so many of the other synth sounds within the album. And then you have Dandelion Pleasantries, which has this really great use of arpeggiators, really sort of setting a tone, which feeds nicely into the narrative that I think the album is trying to take, that sort of like nature versus robotic thing. This track I think is one of the highlights for me of the album. The next song, Camera Obscura, featuring Pixx, again slightly disappointed. I was expecting something like horror, but maybe that's my influence of the game Fatal Frame, but rather it had quite a romantic quality about it, feeling more 90s ambient inspired to me. Lyrics not the most like profound thing ever, but it was actually quite a nice listen. But it wasn't the lyrics that stood out to me, it was the vocal harmonies that sort of glide amongst them. From here though, things start to feel a little stale, unfortunately. Even the tracks featuring Alison Goldfrapp, I was craving something heavier overall. It wasn't until the last 2 songs or so that something interesting started to happen, with All Things Passing and So slightly confusing. The former having this lovely detuned sound that sort of works amongst this distant bass. Pair this with these sad bell synths and you have something really nice. And to my surprise, an instance where the rain actually adds some atmosphere to the track. And then you have these sort of violin stab that build up near the end and then just kind of do nothing. And this actually happens quite a lot on the album, where the song is building up to something and then just fades into the next song. It builds up this anticipation just to sort of let you down. And then finally the last track on the album, And So, really pushing that LFO on the synth here, which slowly gets filtered out. And you know what, I was actually enjoying this track until it faded out to Rain again. Look, if you sold this to me as a Spa CD, hell yeah, I'm believing you. For me, it feels like an album of ambience rather than ambient. And you know what? It doesn't feel like a journey either. It just feels like songs that fade into each other. I don't actually think this is a bad album. And yes, I know it's a departure from their usual sounds, but it serves more as meditation or like mindfulness. Something you can listen to calm you down after a hard day or something. In a way, it wears its heart on its sleeve. They say it's an ambient album, and guess what? It is. So saying all of that, I would probably give this album a 5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know below. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, whatever you like, and yeah, hopefully catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.